on this podcast. I'm delighted to welcome back Elie Milky, who is the Vice President of Development for the Middle East, Pakistan, Cyprus, and Greece at the Radisson Hotel Group. Elie, delighted to have you again back with us. Now, Elie, you were with us on episode 71. We're now on episode 100. So that was about 7 months ago. And so we're looking forward to hearing how you've done since we last caught up. But one of the titles I didn't include in your description is sort of international head also of Art Hotels. So before we move on to Saudi, I really want to discuss a couple of things. But let's look at Art Hotels and your involvement there.
Art Hotel is a brand that was launched by our sister company, PPHC. And the agreement that we signed a couple of years ago was to assume the development rights for the brand beyond Western Europe, so that you're talking Eastern Europe, the south parts of Southeast Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Australasia. I'm leading the development of the brand beyond those into those regions because of my location in Dubai and because of the potential for that brand in the Middle East, parts of Africa, and in Asia Pacific. So yes, it's a very exciting addition to my scope. I'm very involved in it, very engaged in the brand. I believe in the brand. I see a lot of potential in certain markets. I could go through them in a bit. I believe there is a gap in the market for that upper upscale category of lifestyle. And the market has proven itself with other upper upscale brands in the lifestyle tier being signed over the past 18 months. And we believe Art Hotel having an art element in terms of design and development and in terms of operation will add a lot of value to many cultural and historic destinations across the world. Mostly focused on urban locations.
Urban locations, how many rooms typically?
At least 150 to produce scale. In certain locations where there are limits in more historic cities, we could look at 100 keys. But in emerging markets and established cities, we could do at least 250 to 300 keys.
Right. And then
But on average, 150 plus keys.
150. So, and then you collaborate with the artists depending on the owners, I assume.
Every location has to have its own signature artist that we appoint, that we decide on, that we appoint, that we be part of the design and marketing and journey of every hotel. For instance, in London, we have a UK-based artist for the Art of that Hoxton, D-Face, but then we have Jaime Hayon, who's a Spanish artist for Art Hotel Battersea. In Rome, we have a Roman artist. In Amsterdam, can't remember the name of the artist there, but in Zagreb, we have a local artist as well. In the Middle East, we would want to have a regional or a local artist. If we launch an art hotel in Riyadh, for instance, which we are in discussions on, we would want a Saudi celebrity artist that we would agree on, because that will be part of the heritage, that will be part of the journey and the story of the hotel. And then towards the operation of the hotel, we will look at different curators to involve many artists and hosting exhibitions, events, and different activities.
Are you looking at branded residents for the Art Hotel yet?
Only in select cases, and only if there's an actual Art Hotel in operation on the premises. We wouldn't do brand alone, standalone. We wouldn't. It wouldn't be our bread and butter. It would be an addition to an established hotel operation.
You must have chosen the countries that you wanted to work on, because you're in some of the fastest growing countries in the world at the moment, with the Middle East, of course, Saudi, but also Greece and Pakistan. So what's happened in Greece? You must have seen a huge growth in that market, and also Pakistan.
In Greece, because in addition to the Middle East and Northeast Africa, you've got the outliers of Pakistan and the Indian subcontinent, and then you've got the Greece and Cyprus. Greece and Pakistan, apart from Saudi Arabia, have been the most active for me. You're right. In Greece, we have now become over the past 3 years, one of the fastest growing hotel groups internationally. We have a solid pipeline. We've grown from 2 hotels 5 years ago to 12 hotels today. Six in operation and 6 under development. We expect to open 4 of these properties under development in 12 months. Next April to June, we'll be opening 4 fantastic hotels in different parts of the country. One in Athens, one in the Peloponnese region, 2 in Athens, actually, in the heart of the city. We're the only international hotel group located in the historic triangle of Athens. 2 of these hotels will be opening in before next summer, in 12 to 14 months. And a Radisson Blu resort in the Peloponnese region, opening next April. And a resort in Paros that will be opening next April as well. So 2026 will be a strong year for us. And I believe before the end of the year, we'll have a few more announcements as we close a few more deals with key investors in the market. That's Greece. Now, in Pakistan, we expect to open our first hotel next year in Islamabad. It could be, and then we expect to open 1 or 2 more in Islamabad and in Murray, the mountain resort, the following year. I believe the Pakistan really lacks quality hotels in the city and beyond. And even though the market is less active than it is in Greece, we believe with the select few owners that we've signed hotels with, we could open 1 or 2 hotels in the next 1 to 2 years.
It's a country I haven't been to yet, and I look forward to visiting. Many of my colleagues are based in Pakistan, so
I think what we should do is once we open our hotels, or at least our first hotel, we could host a conference for the Pakistani market in the next couple of years. I think it's something we should be thinking about. I'm planning ahead for.
Yeah, very much. I look forward to that one. Middle East, Jordan. On our last podcast, you said you were looking at opening 2 hotels. I believe it was 2 signings. Did they happen?
They did. They did back in September, I think, and we made the announcement. And it's a deal I'm personally very proud of because Jordan is not a very active market compared to the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And this was a rare opportunity in the market with key developers and investors in the market. This was a deal with Thabat. Thabat is a consortium of banks in Jordan, a consortium of 7 banks in Jordan that has been developed, established to develop real estate properties across Amman and the country. 2 of these properties were earmarked to be hospitality. One is a hotel, the other is a service apartments. And we signed them under the lifestyle Radisson Red brand in the heart of the city, and the service apartments under the luxury Radisson Collection brand next to the Saudi embassy, and in a high-end part of the city. So it's this was a rare deal. It was a good deal, and we hope to open the first hotel within the next 2 years.
Sorry, what's the brand?
Radisson Red is for the lifestyle brand.
Yeah,
is for the 200 key hotel in a very, very active part of the city. And Radisson Collection is the brand for the service apartments, around 100 keys, 120 keys, next to the Saudi embassy in Amman.
Radisson Collection, you hosted us for 2 years on the trot for the FHS Saudi in Riyadh. Fantastic property. Is that's a growth area for you, that sort of white label collection brand?
It's not necessarily a white label brand. It's a hard brand. It's a core brand. We now have 3 Radisson Collection hotels and service apartments in Riyadh, for instance. The Mansard Radisson Collection is the one you're familiar with, the one where we hosted the event. It's a hard brand. It is the soft branding element comes from whether you want to include the name, if there's a historic name or if there's an established name. It would be Mansard Riyadh, for instance, a Radisson Collection hotel. And we've got the resort outside Riyadh, Nofa Riyadh, a Radisson Collection resort. But we've also signed a Radisson Collection residence service apartments on off King Fahd Road in Riyadh, which is opening end of this year. 170 keys, 170 apartments. The name of the property is Radisson Collection Residences. and that will be opening before the end of the year. It's a brand that is flexible in its design. It's a luxury brand, entry-level luxury, not ultra-luxury, but in some markets it is competing in that segment. We have signed the Radisson Collection residence as well in Amman and Jordan. We are signing a Radisson Collection resort, massive, beautiful, stunning Radisson Collection resort in Greece, in the Peloponnese as well in the next few weeks, which will be announced soon. We've opened Radisson Collection hotels and resorts in places like Croatia, like Venice, like Milan, in Spain. It's a brand that is gaining traction in some markets. We still haven't found the right property and the right opportunity in Dubai, for instance, to launch Radisson Collection. So it is very selective, but there is a growth element to it, and we believe in it, and we're pushing for it.
Well, it's a great case study, the one in Riyadh, isn't it? The Mansard, to showcase to other owners. Brilliant property there. Just look, diving into Saudi Arabia, you've been in Saudi for a long time, since 2010, with you expanded from 5 properties to 45, is that right? 29 in operations, 17 under development under your leadership?
Yeah, almost 50, correct. Yes, yes, correct.
And so what are sort of the key strategic decisions that enable such remarkable growth?
We have 5-6 brands that we focus on, not 55 brands. That helps us focus on these brands and not confuse the market or the consumer. That's the advantage. The disadvantage is if these 5-6 brands don't appeal to the consumer or to the opportunity, I don't have 5 or 10 more to offer. But we've turned that into an opportunity because under these brands, we've been able to do hotels, city hotels and urban hotels. We've been able to do service apartments. We've been able to do resorts. And so we've been able to segment different opportunities under these brands. The other thing that we always look at is 70% of our owners have more than one hotel with us. We tend to focus on the relationships that we have more than the relationships that we don't have. We try to establish newer relationships. We go after new properties and new owners. But we also focus on the owners that know us, and the owners that know us tend to sign more hotels with us. This has helped us fuel our growth in different locations faster than others. Another element of it is that we are what I call a global company that is big enough to be global, with a 160 million person loyalty member program, with distribution channels, global distribution channels into different markets. We're an established global company, but we are also small enough to be agile, to be reactive, to be proactive, to be responsive, to be flexible. Although I don't like to use the word flexible, but to be pragmatic, and that has helped us focus on more and more conversions. We've more than 50% of our hotels, with our conversion-friendly approach, from a technical perspective and commercial perspective, more than 50% of our signings and openings in recent years have been conversions.
Is that in the kingdom?
In the kingdom, yes, we took over for the 310 key hotel a couple of months ago. That was under a different brand. That was back in January, 3 months ago. We signed the Radisson Collection residence that's under construction. That will be opening end of this year. When we signed Mansard in Riyadh as a Radisson Collection, it was also at an advanced stage. Nofa was a conversion under Radisson Collection. We have other examples in different markets and different regions. And in addition to that, we have looked at maybe I would say around 30%, 10% or 10 to 15% of our signings have been service apartments in the past 3 to 4 years in the area that I cover. And this has helped us grow in that segment. Around 30% of our recent signings and openings in recent years have been resorts, whether it's desert resorts, mountain resorts, ski resorts, beach resorts, and many of them are in the UAE, in Saudi Arabia, in Cyprus, in Greece, in Turkey, and other locations. So we look at it from a from all different angles and making our value proposition to owners investor friendly, real estate with the real estate in mind, rather than rather than ego investments or flagship investments. They're more opportunities where we get the returns to our owners, and that's how we've been able to get to the scale that we are today. And I think we will continue stronger than ever. I believe in that we are in a much better position today than we were 10 years ago because of the portfolio we have built so far. And it's something I'm personally, Jonathan, very, very proud of. The team that I work with, the leadership that we have, the brands that we have, I think it's a story that's going to continue.
That's excellent. And in Saudi, you're focused also on the regional cities like Hale and Al-Asa.
Yes.
Al-Batam.
It was the Hospitality News series I published a couple of days ago. The title was that I believe in looking beyond the giga developments. I believe in looking beyond a World Cup. I believe looking beyond one giga development. It's about, in order to get sustainable growth, consistent expansion, yes, we should do the giga developments. We should focus on the big events, but we should focus on what will continue to grow, what will continue to deliver, what will continue to remain appealing to the consumer and the investor beyond such developments. So we have already opened many years ago in Jizan, in Majran, in Jubail, in Yadbo, as some examples. But we're also we continue to focus on these secondary markets. We're looking at opportunities in Abha. We're looking at opportunities in Tabuk, in Hail we've already signed, in Al-Asa we've already signed. We are expanding our presence in the holy cities. We're solidifying our presence in the Eastern Province, in Riyadh and in Jeddah. We're looking at resorts. We're looking at mountain resorts and service apartments. So yes, we are looking elsewhere in Saudi Arabia.
Obviously, one of the challenges with all these new hotels that are opening up in the market is obviously Saudi talent. What are your strategies for recruitment, training, and retention in line with the Saudization goals?
We're currently at across our hotels across the board, more than 40% of our employees are Saudis. And 2 years ago, we opened a regional office in Riyadh. More than 60% of the team in the regional office in Riyadh is Saudi. Our focus is strong. We continue to update ourselves with new requirements by the ministry and new conditions. We continue to work with the Ministry of Tourism and and other agencies in Saudi Arabia with collaborations that we have with them to handpick and to train and to appoint permanent positions for Saudis. We continue to empower more and more women who are Saudis in the hospitality industry, and we're seeing a massive growth in that. We have tailor-made programs for many Saudi employees in our hotels that will help them grow into more senior positions and eventually into more GM positions. We've had Saudi GMs for several years. We're the first to appoint a female GM who was Saudi several years ago, and this is something that will continue as the market develops in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's very good. When we've got a whole session called Next Gen at FHS Saudi coming up around the corner in a week's time, and real focus on education and women empowerment as well. I think there's only 8% of Saudi women employed across Saudi at the moment. So there's a lot of work to be done to encourage women to join the industry and to find a place in our beautiful industry.
Absolutely. There is an opportunity for sure.
Elie, tell me about investors. Do the investors, are they typically local for Saudi that you're working with?
Yes, I mean, and I would say 95% of our investors in Saudi Arabia are Saudi. The remaining 5% are GCC nationals, mostly Kuwaitis, according to our portfolio. And this is something I brought up. I think this will eventually start to change as more foreign direct investment comes into Saudi Arabia, I think we will start with the incentives that the government is putting in place for foreign investment. We will start to see more interest at the beginning to develop hotels in Saudi Arabia. But this, I believe, will take time for new non-Saudi investors to come in because of the specific nature of doing business in Saudi Arabia. You need to establish yourself with a presence, with an office, spend time in the kingdom, partner with local developers, partner with local investors, understand the tax and the incentive schemes the government's putting in place, get the expertise on the ground, understand the requirements on the ground, the cultural sensitivities on the ground. So it's a process, but for now, almost 100% of our investors are Saudi and GCC nationals.
And how does that compare to your developments in the UAE?
It's more diverse. In the UAE, yes, we have established major developers and sovereign wealth funds, such as in Saudi Arabia, as we have in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai. But we also have non-Emirati entities investing in the UAE, Jordanian companies, Indian companies, and others. And I think with the UAE Dubai having become more of an international city, we expect to see that Saudi Arabia headed in that direction in the next 5 to 10 years. A small example, Jonathan, our recent signing of the lifestyle Radisson Red in Ras Al Khaimah on Marjan Island, which we announced a couple of months ago. This is with an Armenian investor that has come to, and that's just one of the recent examples, that is investing in Ras Al Khaimah on Marjan Island, and in collaboration with Sterling Hospitality and Rack Hospitality, who are going to be operating the hotel under franchise. So yes, that's an example of how the UAE market has evolved over the years and how Saudi Arabia will eventually get there.
And you mentioned franchise. That brings me on to a question about management contracts, etc. Majority of your deals in Saudi are management contracts?
Yes, 95% of them are 90% are management contracts. We've signed our first franchise last year with Amsa Hospitality, who own one of our other hotels and at the Radisson Riyadh Airport, where we held our event 3 years ago, I think, or 4 years ago, the FHS event. We opened in Medina, the Radisson Medina, as our first franchise property in the kingdom. We have been slower than others in adopting franchising in Saudi Arabia for conscious reasons, for very valid reasons. We believe the market wasn't ready enough to be able to sign a franchise, but we believe with the right partners, Amsa Hospitality is one of them, we were able to sign our first franchise agreement in the kingdom. So with that, we opened, that's a beautiful example of a conversion story as well, where we signed last May at ATM in Dubai, and we opened 9 months later. We opened in March, the Radisson in Medina, entering Medina for the first time in many years as our first franchise as well.
Okay. All right, great. I also ask about ESG and sustainability. You know, we've seen the winds of coming from America in the sort of direction of sustainability and everything else. What's the view of Radisson? How are you moving forward with this agenda? I mean, I would imagine for most people I speak to, it's core for everything we do in the industry, and it doesn't seem to have stopped the focus on sustainability. What's the Radisson perspective?
I think despite the headwinds from the US, I think every hotel company would want to continue continue with our sustainability, or what we call responsible business strategy, as a core element of what we do for many reasons. One is we believe in taking care of the environment, the community, the people, the climate. We were very conscious of the climate. We believe in reducing costs and being more efficient and being more conscious. So that's something that will continue for the hospitality industry, regardless of what government policy changes. In addition, having said that about the US, the EU remains very, very strong on sustainability. and the worlds and the regions that we operate in. When it comes to sustainability, you're looking at banks that are offering green loans to incentivize investors. You're looking at investors who want to be more health conscious, environmental conscious, and then ultimately cost conscious with their investments. You're looking at operators that want to operate more efficiently. So from every angle of the investment cycle, whether it's the investor, the lender, the bank, the government, tax incentives, tax initiatives, government initiatives for sustainable hotels and sustainable programs, they're all directed towards a more sustainable hospitality development. And it would be unwise not to make the best use and take the best advantage of such incentives from the government and such incentives from the banks and the demand from the consumer as well. So I believe from every angle, responsible business is at the core of every hospitality development. It will continue to remain strong and even stronger than ever. And I don't think that will change, Jonathan.
And no doubt we can all do more as well as we try to innovate and learn more about tech and enablers to help us to become net positive zero. So, Elie, after nearly 15 years with Radisson, what's been your most rewarding project or accomplishment that might not be visible in the headlines?
I think it's the relationships that I've established with key investors. I believe that the numbers for 15 years, I'm very proud of the transformations in key markets. Saudi Arabia from 5 hotels to 50 hotels. Dubai, 3 hotels to 20 hotels. UAE for now. Greece from 2 to 15 eventually by the end of this year. Cyprus from nothing to 6 hotels. Jordan re-entering the market and establishing ourselves even stronger than we did before. Pakistan from a raw market as well, from nothing to being one of the biggest players in the market. Growing in Oman from a very low base to up more than 10 hotels as well. Just a few examples. Strengthening our position in Lebanon, even though it's an unstable market in recent years. I think the fact that we've been able to transform ourselves and we've been able to build a legacy in each of these markets, and my contribution to that along with the team is something that I'm very proud of. And I'm even more proud of the relationships I've established on the ground with key investors who have believed in us, who have trust in what we do, and on a professional level and on a personal level. I think even in markets and with types of investors nobody thought we could do hotels with, we've done more hotels than anybody ever expected. And that's something I'm very personally proud of.
Yeah, incredibly rewarding, Elie, being able to develop these markets and as you say, develop those relationships with the owners and for them to be coming back to as well for additional developments. Elie, thank you so much for joining this podcast. Look forward to seeing you in around the corner in a week's time, and
in a week. Yes,
absolutely. And again, thank you for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.